Guten Yardening, everybody! As we begin our spring and summer gardening outdoors, one of the considerations we have to keep in mind is that many of the vegetables that we're growing need pollinators in order to successfully produce large amounts of produce. And so one of the things that we're doing this year is to make sure that we have enough pollinator attracting flowers and other plants that can encourage the bees and other pollinators that we want to come into our garden to ensure great production. Now, it is possible to include those flowers that are just there for beauty and beauty alone, and anybody can tell you that some beautiful flowers really make a garden look special. But what we wanted to do was to pick flowers and blooms that were not only going to serve the purpose of beauty, but that could also attract the pollinators and, as an added bonus, be eaten by us as well. So today's video focuses on 5 common flowers and blooms that serve all 3 of those purposes. They're beautiful, they attract pollinators, and you can eat them. And in addition to those 5, there's one more bonus one that you might not have considered. Nasturtiums are a great example of a plant that fits this bill of being beautiful, being edible, and attracting pollinators perfectly. It's a great companion plant to many vegetables. It is a beautiful, brightly colored plant that provides a lot of great ground cover. It grows perfectly in the ground, and it also grows great in hanging baskets. And it's a great companion plant for many vegetables in that it also helps to keep away some of the more common pests like your aphids from the garden. It also attracts a huge number of pollinators. The bees love these flowers. In terms of the taste, most people say it's a bit peppery. I think it tastes a lot like radishes, and so I agree with that peppery taste. And you can again eat the flowers and all of the leaves from this plant. It's great raw in salads, and I've read you could also cook them as well. And on top of that, the seeds are easily collectible. So once you buy them once, you collect them at the end of the season, and you may never have to buy the seeds for the nasturtium ever again. Borage is another wonderful example, and this is the first year that we're growing borage in our garden. It has beautiful bright blue flowers, and even though it's an herb, most people grow it as a flower even because of its looks. It can grow up to 3 feet in height, and again, every single part, the flowers, the stem, the leaves, are all edible on this plant, and the bees love the borage. Now, it has a mild smell and mild taste of cucumbers, but it's also really nice in that it's a great companion plant for quite a few vegetables. Strawberries specifically, it's supposed to actually help enhance the taste of the strawberries, making them sweeter and even better tasting. You can chop it up in salads, you can eat it raw, you can eat it fried or stewed. There are a ton of recipes online for this wonderful, bee-attracting, delicious edible herb. I think sunflowers have to be at the top of the list in terms of amazing edible flowers, and they are huge. I've read that they're described often as a beacon to pollinators because they can grow upwards of 14 feet high. And of course, with their massive heads, depending on the variety, they would definitely attract some amazing pollinators into the garden. So not only are they adding impressive beauty, and really, I do mean impressive. I've seen pictures of people standing by these, and they're half the height of these amazing sunflowers. But in addition to serving that purpose of beauty and attracting the pollinators, you can actually eat just about every single part of the sunflower. You can eat the shoots when they're young, you can eat the petals from the sunflower, and I know most of us focus primarily on the sunflower seeds, but with all of those options out there, this is a plant that is a can't miss in the garden. We grew our first sunflower last year, and we're planning to grow many more this year. Now, depending on your zone, you may have lemon trees growing outdoors for you. We bring our lemon tree outdoors in the warmer months because we're here in zone 5 where it can't survive our winters. But many people probably don't know that those amazing fragrant blooms that show up, in our case quite often because we have a Meyer lemon, are actually edible. Oftentimes used to make teas and other drinks, they can also be dried out and crushed and made into various recipes later in the year if you don't want to use them right away. Their taste, as you might expect, is citrusy, and again, even though our lemon variety, the Meyer lemon, is self-pollinating, bees are absolutely attracted to these amazing flowers. Just like sunflowers, you may want to limit the number of the lemon tree blossoms that you use, since that's where the fruit comes afterward, and if you do eat up too many of them, you won't get the production you want. Now the next one is a vegetable in and of itself, and it is a vegetable that, well, we love and that bees certainly love, and that is our squash. Now if you've never tried squash blossoms, most people say that the taste is like a milder taste of squash, which makes perfect sense. When they open up, the bees go crazy for them. Our bumblebees absolutely love our squash blossoms. And it's not uncommon at all to see multiple bees in there trying to collect as much pollen as they can. These squash flowers are a beautiful orangish yellow, and they don't stay open all that long. And just like our sunflowers and our lemon tree blossoms, if you do decide to pick off some of these blossoms, you want to make sure to note that you're likely going to get less production. So you want to avoid overpicking to make sure that you still get the squash that you really want. The squash flowers are typically eaten fried. And now for the bonus. And I know that this is something that irritates a lot of people, but dandelions, well, it's the season right now. We have dandelions everywhere. Sometimes they come into your yard and you get so upset, but one thing you might want to consider is the fact that they're edible. The entire plant is edible. The roots, the leaves, everything. And in addition to being edible, they are incredibly nutritious. I've had dandelion tea in the past, which has a bitterish flavor, but again, the health benefits are there, and that's why some people replace their coffee with that ground up dried dandelion root. The heads of the dandelion can be eaten in salads. You can boil the leaves like spinach, and the taste that you're going to get is an earthy and somewhat bitter taste. But if you harvest them when they're younger, they taste less bitter. There are a bunch of recipes all over the internet for them, and you might want to give it a try. And on top of how edible this entire plant is, if you haven't been spraying your yard with pesticide, the fact is that many pollinators, especially bees, are also attracted to these dandelions, making your garden more attractive both visually and to the pollinators, and then even more delicious is certainly possible with all the options that we provided today. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you're growing some of these plants now, we would love to hear about your experiences and which are your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.